We all love Deadpool, right? The fast-talking, foul-mouthed, offensive, and always humorous Canadian is a mainstay at Marvel these days, becoming one of the most profitable films in its genre.
Yeah, it's me, Deadpool, and I got an offer that you can't refuse!
But despite his popularity, there are still a lot of facts that people get wrong about the merc with the mouth. Be sure to subscribe to our channel before we get started though, in order to get awesome videos like this one every day right on your homepage.
Double Wedgie achievement unlocked.
Origins. It's safe to say that the word origins has become something of a dirty word within the superhero fandoms. Despite being a smash hit in 2016, the Deadpool movie was at the end of the day another origin flick that introduced audiences to the merc with the mouth and how it is he got into the famous red suit. By now, you should know his cinematic origins.
Call me Deadpool. It rhymes with no school. Too cool, ain't no fool, and I'm the best that there is at what I do.
Wade is diagnosed with cancer, and with the help of some shady experiments that awaken his mutagen gene, he becomes Deadpool. Much like the Joker, though, there isn't a definitive origin tale for Deadpool. In some versions, Deadpool is part of the same Weapon X program that spawned Wolverine and Sabretooth. In another, Deadpool merely steals the identity of Wade Wilson from T-Ray, one of Pool's longtime enemies. In short, there seems to be no concrete answer to Deadpool's origin. So much so that Deadpool himself stated that his origin is completely contingent on whoever the writer is on that particular arc. The cancer arc from the movie is pretty compelling, but knowing he's from the same team as Wolverine and Sabretooth sounds like the more awesome origin story to us.
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
The voices in his head aren't his inner dialogue. If you've ever read some of the Daniel Wade Deadpool comics or played the video game based on his exploits, you'll know that the Deadpool on the big screen is missing a critical element of his persona. We are of course referring to his inner dialogues, his subconscious, and his other personalities.
I know, right?
Thanks to some clever use of speech bubbles in the comics, the illustrators were able to make it seem like Deadpool had many different personalities and would result with Deadpool arguing with himself. But now what if we were to tell you that Deadpool isn't actually talking to himself? The comic decided to give a reason to the multicolored speech bubbles in order to bring Deadpool's insanity down a few notches. In Deadpool number 28, it was revealed that the white bubbles were actually those of Dr. Bong, Howard the Duck's main villain, and the yellow ones were actually Madcap, a bottom-tier Captain America villain. What are your thoughts on this reveal? Do you prefer the idea of Deadpool talking to his subconscious, or do you like that D-tier villains took over his mind?
Leave it book in her general direction again, and you will learn in the worst of ways that I have some hard spots too. That came out wrong.
He has a sense of morality. Let's be honest here. Deadpool can be a bit of a jerk sometimes, whether it's dispatching of Ajax without thinking twice, egging Dopinder the cabbie to do terrible deeds, or turning bad guys into kebabs. Despite his questionable ethics though, Deadpool actually has some sense of morality.
With great power comes great responsibility.
That's not very clever.
Wade Wilson has some clear rules that he will not violate. First off, he has a clear do not harm children rule in constant effect. He personally decides to go after the X-Force when they take out Apocalypse, who was currently in the form of a young boy. Despite the threat, Deadpool was blinded by his own rule and morality. He also has a zero policy rule on abusive individuals, often resulting in the merc with the mouth beating the living snot out of anyone who steps out of line.
Don't you ever take anything seriously? Forget rules! Forget that these shiny sticks are swords and hop right on!
This was heavily alluded to in the Deadpool movie when Wade Wilson chomps down a pizza while intimidating a young man of being dangerously close to one of those infamous beatdowns.
I love you, Wade Wilson.
You're supposed to... So that's a...
Yes! Woo! Yes!
His softer side, when he isn't blasting DMX, making human kebabs, and doing other inappropriate actions, Deadpool may actually surprise you with his softer side. This may come to a surprise for many, as this is the same character who likes to egg Wolverine into acts of violence and went after Ajax because he wanted some of that sweet, sweet revenge. In short, Deadpool can often be perceived as an assassin with zero manners, but when he puts his mind to the task, he can actually be a total softie in his own special kind of way. He's extra protective around kids and has even taken a few of them under his wing to pass on his unique skills and knowledge. We're not sure if that's the right move, but at least the kids aren't in any danger. Deadpool also went out of his way one time to make sure a young teenage girl remained in the land of the living after she was attempting to end her own life. How about that? In typical Deadpool fashion though, he recruited that teenager to help him on a dangerous mission, but at least something like that helps distract one's mind from the dark thoughts.
What I have done is what you lack the courage to do.
Deadpool isn't a complete ripoff of Deathstroke. There's no doubt that Deathstroke is one of DC's more awesome villains. He appears in the CW's Arrow show, as well as being rumored to cameo in the upcoming Justice League film. Deathstroke is a world-class assassin who's an ace shot and has excellent sword skills and wears a colorful and awesome mask. Wait, that sounds familiar. Yes, Deadpool has often been compared to Deathstroke, and the pool's creator, Rob Liefeld himself, stated that the character was meant to be a subtle nod towards DC's famous villain.
Nice to see you kept my color scheme when you copied my suit. Am I like your idol?
Never heard of you.
But even though the inspiration behind Deadpool started with Deathstroke in the early concept phases, the same can't be said for the in-universe concepts. Initially, Wade Wilson was supposed to be a weird clone of Wolverine embedded with the DNA of Spider-Man. Furthermore, Wade Wilson's behavior is the furthest thing from the cold, stoic, and calculating behavior that Slade Wilson exhibits. So while these two mega popular characters have similar combat skills and builds, once you get down to the origins of the characters, personality, and traits, these two are honestly anything but similar.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
Lone Wolf. Deadpool likes to talk. A lot. So much so that he can often scare people away. Thor can't stand him though and refuses to work with him. Deadpool does seem like the kind of character who would want to go into any mission alone. He'd be free to do what he wants to whoever gets in his way while blasting whatever music he'd like and, of course, talking to himself.
Besides, nobody's getting hurt.
You might be surprised to hear that Wade Wilson has actually been a part of dozens of superhero team-ups and has even had a few sidekicks over the years. Some of these sidekicks include Hydra Bob, Blind Owl, and Weasel.
I'd go with you, but I don't want to.
While he's also teamed up with the likes of Spider-Man, Wolverine, Colossus, Captain America, and of course, Cable. Cable will join Deadpool in his sequel in 2018 and will be portrayed by Thanos himself, Josh Brolin. We really hope that in Deadpool 2, Wade Wilson makes some jokes about Brolin being in two Marvel film universes at the same time. The character is sitting on a gold mine there.
That's gonna leave a mark. Oh wait! No it isn't! I have a healing factor!
His healing factor is his only ability. Thanks in part to the success of the 2016 film, many people are under the impression that Deadpool's only superpower is his healing power. Much like Wolverine, Wade Wilson can heal any serious injuries and get right back into the fight once he's had time to recover, perhaps with a cuddly unicorn keeping him company.
Am I crazy? Or is your hand really small?
But if you dive into the comics and the video game, however, you'll be surprised to learn that Deadpool actually has a wild list of other powers up his sleeve. These include the ability to teleport, a skill that was plenty handy back when the character was a villain. Now that he's a protagonist and a Marvel mainstay, the teleportation is used for a more comedic effect. His ability to teleport is a bit broken, however, which prevents Deadpool from going too far away. Deadpool is also gifted with superhuman speed and strength, as well as a plethora of gadgets, including a cloaking device that allows him to get the job done. Or perhaps get up to a lot of trouble. We haven't really decided yet. No, wait, yeah, the answer to that is trouble. Do you think we'll see the teleportation come into effect in Deadpool 2?
So hand it over and I'll only partially unalive you. Yikes.
But he's not invulnerable. Despite the fact that Deadpool can heal some pretty horrendous looking injuries, the fast-talking mercenary is not as invulnerable as you might think. This is comic book logic after all. Deadpool shares a similar healing ability as to that of Wolverine's.
You know, I got a healing factor that makes Wolverine go like,
I wish I had Deadpool's healing factor, bub.
He's been on the tail end of so many mortal and fatal injuries, it's honestly a bit funny at this point. Deadpool's even come back from being a speck of blood, so there's no real limit to what physical injuries can bring him down. So, what makes him so vulnerable? Well, despite being essentially unkillable, the character did meet his demise in the comic book arc Death of Deadpool, which saw his entire comic book universe collide with the Ultimate Universe, which resulted in the death of everybody who was in it at the time. Oh, comic books. Deadpool met his demise yet again when an evil Nightcrawler teleports Deadpool's head away from his body, which essentially killed him. The Mad Titan himself, Thanos, also turned Deadpool into a pile of mush, which should give you an idea of how powerful he is and just how much trouble the Avengers could be in.
seriously, from one super dude to another, what's your secret? Origin story time!
He wasn't really in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Cast your mind back to 2009, before Ryan Reynolds gave us the Deadpool movie that we truly deserved. We are, of course, referring to the dark horse of the X-Men franchise, Origins Wolverine. In that film, fans got their first introduction to Wade Wilson, played by Ryan Reynolds in the early scenes of the film. The movie is infamously known for its troubled production, often with scenes being written the day of the shoot, and in that mess, the character we know as Deadpool was drastically changed. So much so that Reynolds actually refused to shoot the scenes in the climactic battle against Wolverine, in which a costumeless, katanaless, and mouthless Deadpool takes on our favorite Canadian mutant. Oh, and Deadpool shoots lasers out of his eyes.
I think we can all agree that shit just went sideways in the most colossal way. Well, maybe not the most.
Instead, stuntman Scott Adkins of Expendables 2 fame stepped into the role in order to complete the scenes. So even though he was referred to as Weapon 11, this was by no means the Deadpool that comic book fans had come to love. Thankfully, Reynolds' hard work paid off, and by 2016, a proper interpretation of the character was released on the big screen, who naturally in turn made fun of his prior incarnation.
How about telling me the truth? You can't handle the truth!
Really?
He surprisingly has superhero friends. We mentioned earlier that some superhero characters like Thor can't stand Deadpool, and that he may be intentionally scaring people away from his presence. But he can actually find some company with none other than Steve Rogers. Cap may be put off by Deadpool's potty mouth.
What the language?
But the two actually get along quite well, with Rogers feeling quiet sympathy towards Wade, as he totally gets feeling like a science experiment. Hawkeye is also shown to be friends with the merc with the mouth in the comics. Also, who can forget his BFF relationship with Colossus, the Russian Tin Man who we saw in the 2016 film Deadpool. Spider-Man's relationship with Wade is very hit and miss.
So, we're gonna fight then? Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Boom. Seriously? I hate you, Deadpool.
Sometimes he despises him, but there are times when the two end up having an epic bromance. Deadpool was modeled largely after Spider-Man's original design, so it's no surprise that they have some differences yet get along well.
Smell you later, sucker! Bye, Spider-Man!
So there you have it, everyone. Which fact about him did you get wrong? And what do you hope gets implemented into further installments of Deadpool? Whatever you think, sound off in the comments below. And be sure to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for more sweet content from CBR.